Hi everybody, Craig here. Welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing okay. It's Monday the 22nd of June and it's been a couple of weeks since you last had an update from me, so I just thought it was now time to get things moving again. I've not really had an awful lot to say over the last couple of weeks, which is why I've not really done anything at all. You can see lights are back on now, so things are slowly starting to move along a little bit, which is really good news. I've had a bit of a time of it with this tank so far, so I'm hoping that's the end of the bad news, at least for now. I know there's probably going to be more coming at some point, but we'll see how we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Things have been difficult, mainly, as I said on the last video, because of the nitrite and the nitrate. Worked really hard over the last couple of weeks to get that down, still to no avail. So ended up having to buy a couple of bits and pieces to try and help with that side of things. You might remember that I was dosing the Evolution Aqua reef balls, which are still going in. I put single doses in to start with, was getting nowhere, so I double dosed for about 2 weeks. I've stopped double dosing now. I'm just going to go back down to a single dose. I've managed to get that nitrite level right down now. It's completely gone now. Nitrate still really high. I've artificially reduced the nitrite level, unfortunately, but I had to get things moving. The reason why I've done what I've done, took some advice on it. Again, went back to my local fish shop, Burscough Aquatics, got some advice from both Steve and Jake, and they really just said, look, you can either keep waiting and hope that it moves along, or what we can do is we can neutralise the nitrite for now, get some bits and pieces in the tank, and see, obviously, once we start putting a little bit more in the way of food in there for the inverts and whatnot that's in there now, get things moving along, get that cycle going again, and see how it goes. So what I got from them was e170 Prime. So it's a denitrifier, but it actually neutralises the, well, it says it detoxifies ammonia, nitrite and nitrate. I've not had experience of it, of either ammonia or nitrate. The reason I've not experienced the ammonia was because that was already testing at pretty much nil. I think it was very low anyway. When we were testing a couple of weeks ago, kept checking. I kind of left the ammonia because there was not going to be any spike in ammonia when I wasn't putting anything in the tank. So, but I tested before I put my inverts in and my snails, my crabs, that sort of thing. Late last week, tested that. It was nil. It was not showing anything. So what I did with the e170 Prime was I dosed it. So on the instructions, I suppose this stuff is really good for on an ongoing basis, just to keep dosing as you're doing water changes, really. So I'm going to keep sticking with it. Don't see any reason why not to. I know of people who are doing that anyway, so I think it should be okay. But with the e170 Prime, what it said to do was, if you've got a really high level of nitrite, dose 5 times the normal dosage. So I dosed 5 times, as it said. I think it was last Saturday, not Saturday gone, Saturday before. So about the, what would that have been, the 13th of June. And then once I got to the Monday, I then threw. I could see it drop down, but it was still testing. So it was coming up at, it dropped down the scale, but it was still very high in comparison to what it needed to be. So I dosed a second strong dose of the Prime stuff, and within a couple of days it had gone completely. I tested it again. I tested it every day for about 4 days, and it was still nothing at all on the scale. So it really has brought that nitrite down. And as I say, I'm hoping that once I start getting a little bit more of the food in the system, that'll kickstart the bacteria on, and we might see some sort of drop in that nitrate. I'm expecting a little bit of a spike potentially in the nitrite and the ammonia over the next few days, but we'll see how it goes. The plan going forward is really to try and get the some fishing towards the end of this week. We'll have to wait and see. If we do get a little bit of a spike. I'm still testing on a daily basis. It's all going fine at the moment. But I've put a few bits and pieces in now. So as I say, I've got 3 Mexican turbo snails in there at the moment. I've got 2 of the red-legged hermit crabs in there, but they're not the normal little tiny hermits. They're the bigger ones that you expect to see in the likes of the shells for the Mexican turbos. You see the slightly larger crabs in there. Now, I haven't actually seen them for a couple of days. I did see one of the crabs when I put them in on Friday. It didn't move all day, and I thought, oh God, here we go. It's died. Picked it up. It was definitely still moving, so I popped him back in the tank. But when I picked him up, where he'd been sat all day, he'd lost one of his legs. So I don't know whether that was maybe why he was. I've no idea whether they feel discomfort. You tell me. But he got up and he's moved off. Not seen him for a couple of days. I imagine they're just burrowing in the sand. Not burrowing in the sand, but keeping themselves out of the way for now. The snails have been doing their work. There's not an awful lot in the tank, so I've obviously got to start putting a little bit of food in now to get the algae blooms going. The tank's relatively clean. The glass could do with a bit of a wipe down, but tank's relatively clean because, as I say, there's nothing been happening. But we are now getting the lights back on. I'm getting a little bit coming out of the protein skimmer, which is good news. The protein skimmer's bedded in really well. So one of the things that was a little bit concerning about the some of the reviews I'd read on the Red Sea Max e170, which is what this tank is, were that the protein skimmer was quite loud, but you might be able to hear that. It's not that loud. The drop of the water dropping over the weir to the back chamber is actually louder than the protein skimmer itself. So I'm quite happy with that. I'm really pleased with the way the rock work's looking. You'll have seen it a couple of times previously, but really pleased with that. I can't wait to get some corals in there. So the next thing on the list is I'm obviously going to get some clowns, something like that, to get going. In terms of what I want, I'll be interested in a few weeks' time seeing what I end up going for fish-wise. But I'm hoping to get obviously a pair of clowns in some way. I went in and I saw some skunk clownfish the other day in Bursk Aquatics, so I kind of like them. But I don't know whether I've got the the bottle to go and get something other than the standard clown, because I always have done, always loved the clownfish. Either the Ocellaris or the Pecula. So we will see over the coming weeks really what I go for. I'd love to get some skunk clowns, but one, I'm not sure in terms of their temperament whether they're a bit more aggressive. Somebody will tell me whether they are. I'd also like at some point to try and get a breeding pair. So I don't know whether they're more likely to breed. I'm going to do a little bit of research between now and the end of the week. I've always liked the Banggai Cardinals as well. They're not the most, they're quite a striking fish, even though they're not that colourful, because they just look like nothing you've ever seen. So I'll probably go for a pair of those over the next month or so. I like them again because, not that I'm ever expecting to be able to breed within this tank, but I did have a pair of breeding Banggai Cardinals a few years ago, and I just thought they were amazing. I just thought the way that they looked after the fry in comparison to like the likes of the standard clownfish would do, I just thought it was like nothing that you would tend to see in a reef tank. So I was really impressed with that. So yeah, I'll probably go for those. And then in terms of anything else that I might get in there, I've always loved the wrasse, different types of wrasse. So I'll probably just go with a peacock wrasse because I love the coloration on those. And then if they're compatible with each other, I'll maybe go for something like a banana wrasse and maybe a domino wrasse. I don't know whether I'm going a little bit overboard with them, but again, I'll take some advice on that, and we'll see over the next few weeks and months as to what I go for. But it'll be interesting to see. I mean, generally, I tend to go with a sand sifting goby as well, because it takes a little bit of the work away from keeping the sand clean. So yeah, I'll probably go with something like that, and we'll just see from there really. I'm not overly fussed on loading the tank with too many fish at this point in time, because I would like to run some corals on there. I'm going to start with some LPS, maybe something like a torch or a hammer coral. That'll probably be the first thing I get in there because I've just been really looking forward to getting that in. I'm just going to start with a little frag, see what we do. Got some supplements for the corals bought already, so hopefully that'll help them along. My only issue at the minute, which I mentioned on one of the first couple of videos that I had, was KH has been running quite high because I'm running the Coral Pro Salt at the moment. So the KH was up at about 11 when I first started the tank off. I've not tested it for the last couple of weeks because I've not really needed to. Presumably it's not going to drop because I've got nothing in there that would be taking the KH away. I've got some Coralline Grow supplement in that Reef Start Mature kit, which I've not used. That might bring the KH down a little bit because I would imagine the coralline algae will take the KH out of the water. But what I'm thinking of doing possibly is moving straight over to the normal salt, because I imagine having a KH such that as high as that, I certainly won't be able to put any SPS in, I don't think, but I need to get it down a little bit so that I can start getting something in there. I presume it'll probably affect the coloration of the tank and of the corals. So we'll just have to wait and see. But tank's coming on slowly. As I say, it's taking a bit of time. It's funny because I mentioned a few times that I really wanted to do this the right way. Tried my absolute best. Tried water changes. Tried cleaning the filter socks out. All that sort of stuff. Got the right amount of the bacteria in at the right time. Did all that. Still didn't work. So it's just sod's law, isn't it? When you try and do it the right way, it still doesn't work. So that's what marine fish keeping's about, though, is overcoming those problems. We're getting there slowly, as I say, not the way I wanted to do it, but we will get there. So we'll see what happens over the next sort of week. Hopefully it's not going to be as long now between this video and the next video, because, as I say, I'd like to sort of keep you up to date a little bit more. I know that I've got a few subscribers now. It's not many, but we're getting there. And I hope you're all still enjoying my videos. If you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. And as I say, we'll be getting a few more videos up over the next few days and weeks. It's payday at the weekend, so I'm going to go and get some clowns in, and I will probably get my first coral in as well, and just try and get a little bit of movement in the tank, because as you can see right now, I've got a cleaner shrimp in there, but he's hiding himself. He's definitely okay. Fed a couple of times. He's feeding okay. And I can't see him at the minute, but he is definitely down there. So we might see him over the next few weeks. I know they tend to take a little bit of time coming out of their shell, as it were. So it's just a slow process with all these things. But yeah, really happy with how the tank's coming on now. And I will speak to you soon. So it's been nice speaking to you, and I will speak to you hopefully before the weekend. Thanks very much.